Okay, good evening. Thank you for coming this evening. This is the regular meeting of the Park District of the Grange on Monday, June 10, 2024. It is now 6 p.m. I'll ask to start the meeting with a roll call.
Commissioner Veer?
Here.
Commissioner Lacey? Commissioner Posey? Here. Commissioner Weber?
Here.
President Open?
Here. Just an introduction. Thank you first for coming. It's wonderful to see so many people here tonight. I know we have some important topics on the agenda this evening. So I'm glad to see you here, and I'm sure many of you will share your thoughts, and I'm excited to hear some of those. Just a reminder, we will have a public comments section at the beginning and the end of the meeting. I would invite you to, if you'd like to make a comment, I would invite you to state your name and your address before making that comment. Remember, we have 45 minutes allocated for public comment, and each comment is limited to 3 minutes. I don't think we'll have a problem, but just wanted to remind you of that. And again, I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you soon. Also want to thank the staff, just one other announcement, thanks for everybody that participated in the pet parade this last weekend, either in the village or as part of the Park District bus. There was a bus and candy event there that was wonderful, so thank you for that. With that, Jenny, I'll turn it over to you. Anything else?
I just want to introduce Adam Kopira. He's sitting in the back there. He's our new HR and administrative assistant. He comes to us with a wealth of knowledge in HR through the military, actually. So we're excited to have him on our team. He has 7 or so years of experience with it. So now we're just kind of training him the Park District code and rules and regulations. So he's working under myself and Jamie Hollick. So he will be up here with us next month as the recording secretary, but he's going to just observe from the stands tonight.
Army, sir.
Well, welcome, Adam. All right, let's move on to the agenda item 2.1, the administration oath for Mr. Weber.
So at our last meeting, Mr. Chris Weber here was appointed one of our commissioners. So we're just going to step around the tables here and we'll do a bit of a swearing in.
Camera?
Kevin's first. We're excited to have you, Chris. Thanks for joining
Excited
us.
to be here.
We'll make it official right now. So you'll just repeat after me. I, Chris Weber,
I, Chris Weber,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of the position of Commissioner.
and I will faithfully,
I will
discharge the duties of the position
of,
of
go ahead.
Commissioner of the Park District of LaGrange, Cook County, Illinois, according to the best of my abilities.
Perfect. Effective today. Congratulations.
Thank you very
Welcome
much.
aboard.
Congratulations, Chris. Now let's move to agenda item 3.0. We'll start with our first opportunity for public comments this evening. Again, I would invite you to state your name and your address and share any comments with me. If anybody here to start.
I guess I'll go ahead. I'll be quick.
Becky, I'm going to give you the microphone.
Hi, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Becky Lorenzen from the Community Diversity Group of LaGrange. And just wanted to say 2 things tonight. Appreciate the attendance of a few of you who came to our Introduction to Anti-Racism workshop, and we'll be following up with you about that. And we're looking forward to partnering to everyone towards having a welcoming community. And the other thing is that Community Diversity is having a summer celebration on Thursday night at 6:30 at the Community Center. And we invite you as our partner to join us. It would be helpful if you can shoot lagrangediversity@gmail.com or myself an email if you do plan to attend so we can have enough food on hand. But we wanted to make sure that you knew that you're welcome and we would love to see you at that event. Thank you.
Additional comment?
Hi
Hi everyone, Rose Nixie, 911 South Stone Avenue. I'm concerned about the loss of trees and plants in the proposed plan. Any removal of trees, plants, and grassy areas should be described in full. So I feel that was lacking in the plan. We talked about where we're going to add trees. I think we should say where we're going to lose trees. I think there was a 100-year-old tree in one of the presentations. We learned that there was going to be a 100-year-old tree taken down, and I'm concerned about that. Just trying to read here. We've already lost trees through the sale of parkland in the past and the development of Gordon Park. Some mature trees are likely to be lost at Wyola too, because we're going to do some development there. You're going to do that. So trees, plants, and even grass provide more livable communities. They purify the air and water and reduce flooding. By absorbing carbon dioxide, they mitigate climate change. So also for anyone worried about property values, communities with more trees and natural spaces are more desirable. Expanding parking lots should not be an option. The current trend nationally and globally is to reduce parking spaces and parking lots due to their high environmental and opportunity costs. In the last 10 years, there's been significant movement toward downsizing parking lots and replacing on-street parking spaces with trees. So this is happening. This is expanding parking is not forward thinking at all. It's really a backward step. A synthetic turf playing field takes the environmental destruction even further by replacing plants with plastic. These fields contain chemicals, including plasticizers, potent antibacterials, phthalates, and PFAS. If you don't know about PFAS, they're forever chemicals. If there's crumb rubber, there are even more health concerns. The plastic is made at highly polluting ethane cracker plants, and the materials won't be recycled, despite claims by the manufacturers. Fields can reach over 170 degrees, presenting a danger to players, making the entire region hotter. Over time, these materials get grounded in finer particles and can contaminate the air, water, and soil. Finally, more severe injuries occur on synthetic turf, which is why pro football and soccer players want to return to natural grass. We don't need plastic fields to store stormwater. We haven't even begun to pursue the natural strategies for keeping water away from fields and out of the storm sewers. There are more cost-effective, environmentally friendly ways to use landscaping to control water flows. So synthetic turf is a lose proposition. We should not sacrifice residents' health by replacing plants with plastic. Takes decades to grow a tree, 500 years to grow or build an inch of topsoil. We should not destroy these so readily. So getting rid of natural spaces only exacerbates our climate and flooding problems. We need to build and add more healthy natural places, and I urge you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Additional comments?
Hello, my name is Ann Bennett, and I'm a lifelong resident of Grange. And I'm going to make some comments about the proposed Park 24 plan. I think that it is comprehensive and thoughtful, and it focuses on providing facilities and programs for individuals of all ages with various interests and physical capabilities. But I think it is both premature and not realistic to ask the Grange residents to fund it via a November 2024 $13.86 million referendum, because there are frankly too many Village of LaGrange unresolved and extraordinary engineering issues that impact the Park District. And I also think there are some accounting issues that I would like for you to address. The engineering issues impact the parks of Gordon, Sedgwick, Denning, and Gilbert. And I also think the Park District should adopt the use of enterprise fund accounting for its recreation center, starting its next fiscal year in April 2025, to assure that the rec center is charging user fees that cover the costs of the operation. Now I'll discuss the engineering issues. Now in Gordon Park, although the proposed outdoor band shell with seating in the synthetic soccer field do appear appealing, the viability of these features is materially impacted by LaGrange Contract Engineers, which is Burke Engineer, proposal for underground stormwater storage when the deep tunnel overflows, flooding the Ogden Avenue Viaduct, Gordon Park, and surrounding low-lying properties. In Denning Park, Although the proposed park feature of a grass soccer field at its southwest end also appears appealing, the viability of this proposal is directly impacted by the drainage easement in which the Village of Western Springs properties drain their stormwater into LaGrange's Denning Park, causing the park and nearby low-lying areas to flood. The LaGrange contract engineers of Baxter and Woodman and Burke Engineering, are studying this issue, but underground stormwater storage at Denning Park is an engineering option that could mitigate the flooding in LaGrange's Linkletter Drive and 48th Street residential section. In Sedgwick Park, although the proposed redesign of the park's tennis and pickleball courts with parking at its north end appear appealing, this proposal is materially impacted by the Illinois Department of Transportation's engineering proposal to redesign 47th Street and East Avenue intersection grade crossing due to IDOT's plan taking a parkland where the retaining wall and some of the parking lot exist along 47th Street. The existing retaining wall holds up the tennis courts. In Gilbert Park, although the proposed reconfiguration of the Gilbert's north end includes additional on-site parking and preschool traffic flow, the proposed egress changes on Willow Springs Road need the approval of both LaGrange and IDOT traffic engineers. Gilbert Avenue is an unmarked state of Illinois highway. So this also highlights the issue where I think the village needs comprehensive planning where the village is working with the park district, because right now you have two separate plans, and I think I'm illustrating why that's not really working out, because I don't want you spending money and planning something and then to have it undone by some of the things that are going on in the village. And as far as the park district, I'm talking about use of enterprise fund accounting for its fee-based operations. And although the park district has adopted the use of enterprise fund for its fitness center, a fee-based operation, it needs to do the same thing for the rec center so that appropriate fees are charged to cover the cost of the operation, because nobody can use the rec center unless they pay a fee. An enterprise fund is a type of funds that are used in government accounting to account for activities that provide goods and services to the public for a fee that is meant to make the entity self-sustaining. And I think the Park District does believe that since its administrative offices are here housing this facility, the use of enterprise fund accounting is somehow prohibited, but a good cost accounting system would cure that issue. An example of that would be if an employee spends 60% of her time each year in the rec center issues, then 60% of her salary, benefits, and office space would be allocated to the LaGrange Rec Center Enterprise Fund, and then 40% to the General Recreation Fund. I also think that you could ask your accounting firm to actually, when you're doing the statements this year, to restate the last year's financial statements, so you could do it so that you would be ready to deal with this issue in preparation for your referendum. And then the last issue is the swimming pool. And the swimming pool was an issue that was not covered in the plan, but is something that many, many residents of all ages would like to see. And the Park District's response was that there's lack of available land prohibited the construction of a swimming pool in a parking lot. However, if a facility is sited properly within a community, not much parking is needed. And an example of that would be Hinsdale Swimming Pool along the BNS Railway, where it's just a walkable location, so they have a very small parking lot. But I think there are opportunities that you could explore with Lyons Township High School. And since LTHS North Campus swimming pool is obsolete, and the South Campus swimming pool was not built to state of Illinois specifications being too short in length for any swimming records to qualify for a state of Illinois championship meet. And since all the Grange residents would like to have a swimming pool, I think there's an opportunity for a municipal joint venture. And you could build a 50-meter swimming pool where it could be used during the school year for physical education classes and competitive swim meets. And then in the summer months, then LaGrange residents can have access to it, or maybe even in the evening. And many European nations build their pools with movable roofs to let the sunlight in during warm seasons and to ensure this full utilization of the facility. So I say, what's the harm in kind of looking into it? So I do want to make a point. you all worked really hard at it, and I'm not trying to say there's anything wrong with what you did. I just think there are so many things here that need to be considered to make this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Wow, that was excellent. I'm a physician. I'm Andrew Griffin. I'm 232 8th Avenue. I've lived here for 13 years with my family. I've got 2 daughters who run through the Park District and the schools, and we love it here. I'm here to talk about Rose's brought up these issues, and so I'll just be more succinct. I heard that there's a thought for synthetic fuels, and that should be a non-starter. Forever chemicals, microplastics, it's not a good look. It's not a long-term thing, and it's I think just on optics and also just kind of what our community would want. It would not be that, and so I would say, please back out of that. Trees should always, we're a village that is actually prides itself on trees. That's actually kind of in our mission statement. And so similarly, a thought for diversity, for plants, it's for the world, it's for our community. Everyone benefits, and so I'm really not into having more fields. I think we've got a lot of fields. I think we can certainly improve and augment what we've got. But if the plan is let's build more fields, that is not speaking to folks who are just looking for an environment that can just be with nature. Great to have baseball fields, soccer fields, so forth. Great. We are an athletic village. But there's more to it. And then with regards to this young lady's points, I would say I love this community center. So with regards to her points about accounting, something I'm not familiar with. She must be an accountant. So in any event, that's something that I would just piggyback and say I agree that that's something to be thought of. But where I would just step away from her is that this community center was, from foresight from your predecessors, this is a great resource for the community. And having it pay for its way is short-sighted in the sense that when you say that the taxes should pay for the expenses on a one-to-one basis, there's intangibles. And so this is an intangible in which, if it's not paying for itself on the books, I'm actually fine, as a community member, I'm fine with it. But her larger points about kind of how accounting is done, something I would agree with. And then with regards to your mission as maintaining and improving parks, absolutely. I would say more trees, be thoughtful. If trees are going to be taken down, mark them. And then synthetics, no way. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
Anyone else?
So hi, I'm Moni Shabria. I'm at 911 Southstone. I agree with all the comments that Rose made about the proposal and some other things that are short-sighted, I think, in the proposal. I just wanted to add a little bit on the idea of PFAS and forever chemicals. That sort of slips off the tongue and people don't really talk about it and don't maybe appreciate what that means. And within the last month, the EPA has proposed new rules relating to PFAS. They've established that PFAS are hazardous substances under the Superfund law. So there'll be sites all around the country where billions and billions of dollars are going to be spent to clean up PFAS contamination. They've established new guidelines for PFAS in drinking water at very, very low levels. I mean, it's going to affect communities across the country. We are fortunate we get our drinking water from Lake Michigan, and probably aren't going to be greatly affected by it, but communities across America that are getting their drinking water from groundwater, they don't even have to have a significant source of PFAS contamination in the area, but all those municipalities are going to have to be treating and removing PFAS from their drinking water. The village of LaGrange should be leading the effort to not have those kinds of things, not introducing those things into our environment that are going to affect someone down the line. If we're fortunate enough that it doesn't affect us, that's great, but it's something that is going to affect people down the line, whether it's in small doses or large doses. So I urge you to think about that. There's all kinds of other chemicals involved, so I just wanted to touch on that because I have some knowledge in that area. But I agree with everything Rose had to say about the chemicals that are related to synthetic turf, the long-term disposal issues that are related to the wearing out of this turf. Where is it going to go, right? It's not something that we can recycle. It's something that's going to have to be properly disposed of one day. And related to PFAS, years and years ago, PFAS has existed, right? It's something that's been created by various chemical companies in America in particular, and we're now just appreciating how significant those impacts are. When your turf is done, there might be more studies on other impacts that are coming out of it. So, keeping it natural seems to be the logical way to go. There's lots of benefits to that. I mean, when you think about the fact that professional athletes don't want to play it because they're going to get injured, that's like a whole different aspect to what I'm saying. But there's so many reasons that it doesn't make sense that I urge you to reconsider that.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Hi, my name is Joyce Carlson. I live at 415 West Hillgrove, and I've been a resident of Grange for over 20 years. And I agree with everything that Rose said, and I've had a lot of time to think about this, and I think about the effects that it has as far as temperatures and how it's going to affect us later on as far as landfills. And the one thing I think about is my daughter. She played in Gordon Park, and our kids in Gordon Park and the other parks, and I just think we need to think of our children first and how this would affect them with the chemicals from the plastic, and also the heat that comes up from the plastic, and the injuries that they could sustain as well. So I ask all of you, when you think of everything, think of our children first.
Thank you, Joyce.
My name is Linda Christensen, and I live at 131 South Edgewood, and I've been a resident there for about 25 years, and I grew up in LaGrange, and I'm here because I completely support what Rose has said about artificial turf, and also about the need to retain green space if we're able to do that. I feel a particular relationship to Gilbert Park, because it was in my neighborhood growing up, and I spent a lot of time over there playing tennis as a kid and ice skating when they used to freeze it. And it breaks my heart to think that you might be putting in a parking lot at that northeast corner where all those beautiful trees are. I've walked over there several times, and I think it would entail removing 9 beautiful trees. And I just think that that is heartbreaking to do. That is the really most serene area of that park. And I don't know if you're considering questions now, but I was glad to understand that Gilbert Park might be considered under a separate referendum. And I'm wondering if that's okay to ask, and if you have an answer to that.
So we're looking to apply for an OSLAD grant for Gilbert Park. But it would still be within the referendum. We were just trying to obtain extra dollars for the project. So it's a possible $600,000 matching grant.
Thank you.
To build a parking lot?
Thank you, Linda.
Hi, my name is Brandon Simak, 400 9th Avenue. I'm going to end up echoing a lot of the points already made by the residents that have spoken, but I just wanted to quickly express a few concerns I have about the proposed upgrades from a sustainability and environmental perspective. I really do. I also really appreciate what's trying to be accomplished with this plan. I think that many of the areas and the range of ages and activities accommodated are fantastic. However, I don't believe expansion of parking, removal of mature trees, or installation of synthetic field is necessary to achieve these goals. Rose and others have already covered a strong list of reasons why these are a bad idea, so I'm not going to restate them all, but I do agree with what's been noted. Mature trees take decades to regenerate. Expansion of impervious areas is backwards thinking, contributes to flooding issues and heat island effect, and all the points about the synthetic fields, including the forever chemicals, future waste, heat absorption and radiation, and potential for injuries moving forward. So, thank you.
Thank you, Brandon.
I think over here. Oh.
First and foremost, I want to congratulate Commissioner Chris Weber. We're thrilled in the Country Club section of LaGrange to finally have a representative on this board. That means a lot to us, so thank you, Chris, for taking this, under your belt and representing us well. I just want to encourage the commissioners to bear in mind that, you represent the interests of the people. So many have come out tonight to express their concerns about these plans moving forward. Let's be forward thinking. We're LaGrange. We want to be, thinking about the future. How will this impact, things down the line? 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years. So let's just be mindful of the impact of the decisions we make. And thank you all for your service.
Sounds like a lot of these people came prepared.
I'm sorry. What your name and address?
Oh, sorry.
No. Sorry.
Elise Hoffenberg, 1030 South Stone, LaGrange.
Thank you, Elise.
Gloria Stevenson, 1510 41st Street. Been a resident for 48 years on Gilbert Park. When I heard that you were considering a parking lot expansion, I about got sick to my stomach. We have been here 48 years. The majority of those trees right there have been there longer than we've been here. There is no way that you can take those trees down and replace with a 5-foot tree, a 10-foot tree, a 20-foot tree, and make a comparison at all. They are definitely mature trees. What I believe is, I've heard that one of the things you're doing is to make a roundabout or access for the kids to get out to go to the school, which I find very interesting because we had a child in a wheelchair that we had to carry. And when we took him to school for the 13 years that we were in LaGrange, my legs are given out, sorry. We got out of our car, pulled the wheelchair out, put him in the wheelchair, and walked, whether it was a block or 2 blocks, to school. The majority of these kids that I see coming to the building and their parents are all walkable. All you have to do is park in front of my house on 41st or park on Gilbert, cross the street, and go back home. Or just stay by your car and have one of the teachers come up 5 or 10, if that's the reason, if that's where the whole thing of adding the parking lot came from. I also think one of the meetings I was out at, somebody said the park board were very inclusive. Well, I'm going to disagree with that a little bit, being a senior now. And right there are 4 shuffleboard courts that have looked about the same for all those years. So no, we're not going to go out there and play shuffleboard if the shuffleboard courts look the way they are. It would take a lot less money to convert those 4 shuffleboard courts back to renewed shuffleboard courts so that not only the seniors but other people could play as well. I have looked ever since, well, for years, but ever since I heard that you were considering adding on this parking lot, I can say honestly, and I can take pictures and start sending them to you, that parking lot at Gilbert Park is 97% empty. all the time. Yes, when you have children there, or you're going to little baseball games or soccer or whatever, yeah, it's full, and it's full for either 5 minutes or 4 hours. But it's not full from 5 a.m., well, whenever the park opens, to 8 to 10. And I really think that's a consideration, that we don't need that parking lot. If we have extra money, let's turn that building into a senior center and move the kids to Denny Park and be able to have, I don't know, a reading nook, art in the park, speakers, and maybe even turn it around to be able to have kids as, we used to have the kids as Cub Scouts, and we had the meeting. Yes, we had to check with the park board first, but we actually had meetings there back in the day when it was the warm-up for the ice skating rink. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, there's so many others, but that's my concern, let alone what it's going to do to real estate. None of us on 41st or on Gilbert bought our homes with a giant parking lot there. And go back to, let's keep mature trees where they are. Let's keep the table and chairs that have been there since before 90. I can't remember when we put those in. And let it be a space. There are moms and dads, aunties, uncles, and nannies that take their kids over to that area where those shuffleboard courts are and sit there peacefully, rocking their babies or walking their babies. And in 2013, a Eagle Scout had turned those shuffleboard courts into hopscotch and something else, which seemed kind of unique, but it was really fun while it was what they were. They have not been maintained. So I think there's many more ways to spend that $600,000 if you get it than tearing down mature trees and taking away space that already works the way it is. Just to be able to drop your kid off should not change the whole concept of the parking area, I believe. Thank you, and I do appreciate all the work you're doing. I, like the rest, have many more things to say, but that's my giant concern. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Lori.
Sorry. Gloria?
Yeah, Gloria Stevenson.
Gloria, sorry. My apologies.
That's okay. Claire's a nice name.
I'm Kurt Hansman. I lived in LaGrange from 1950 until 1968 when I went away to college. I came back in 1996 to live, and I've lived in LaGrange since 1996. I appreciate very much the work that the Park District does. I'm a member of the Fitness Center. I love the new rec center. I love the parks in LaGrange. I grew up on Wyola Avenue, and Wyola Park was our park, just as so many other neighborhoods have their park on Gilbert or on North Wyola or in other parts of LaGrange. When I heard about the idea of converting some playing fields to artificial turf as opposed to grass, I was horrified. I was horrified because I'm aware of the research about artificial turf and the toxins that it puts into the atmosphere. I'm aware of research about the effects of playing on artificial turf, especially on young bodies. I'm aware of the fact that professional leagues like the NFL and professional soccer leagues want to go back to playing on real grass fields. I'm also horrified at the idea of cutting down trees, which we need to regenerate our atmosphere. Cutting down mature, ancient trees in Grange for parking space, which we have so much of, as other people have said. I'm probably repeating things that others have said. I'm sorry, I was giving an exam and drove as fast as I could to get here to be able to speak on this issue. There are so many reasons to reconsider this plan. And I hope that the Park District Board will take the comments of everyone into consideration and go back and rethink these ideas.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Hi. Apologies for being so late. My name is Akriti Viva. I live on Edgewood in LaGrange. I came in a little late, so I haven't heard everyone's comments, but I echo the last few that I've heard. My background is environmental law. I worked at the EPA for 13 years, so my personal opinion, I was in the Office of Chemical Safety. So the idea, and I have 2 young children, they're 4.5 and 6. So the idea of using synthetic turf is wild to me. We moved to LaGrange 5 years ago. Green space, trees, so many parks, all the reasons that, are attractive to people moving here. I'm kind of worried about changing those things. So the synthetic turf, like other people have said, with the toxins, how hot it gets, more injuries. I think I don't want to take too much time repeating what I'm sure other people have said, but I echo that in terms of parking lots and trees, cutting down the trees. We're working towards a future where climate change is happening, right? We're all these people are working towards how can we reduce our impact, and it sort of seems like we're going backwards by let's cut down trees and put more parking lots. That sort of seems like, and my kids did the Learning Ladders program, so we had to drop off at Gilbert, so we dealt with the parking, right? It wasn't a big deal. You take a couple extra minutes, it's kind of annoying, you gotta figure out how to maneuver it. It's not the end of the world. We don't need a larger parking lot in places because we can't figure out how to take a few extra minutes for parking or drop off pickup. To me, that seems like a ridiculous solution to cut down trees, put more spots because we can't figure the logistics of those things out. Maybe it's timing or some other things, but, I just wanted to say that, and I'm also on the environmental quality commission. So there's a variety of reasons why I just think that, and I'm sure people have said not to cut down trees, we don't need parking lots, and I'm really against the synthetic turfs. Thank you for all the work that you guys have done, and thank you for taking comments into consideration.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you.
All right.
If you've come and haven't signed in tonight, please, on your way out, please make sure you sign in as a public participant. Thank you.
Before we move on, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank all of you for taking the time, because I realize we do have a long meeting and not everyone may stay to the end. But if you do, thanks for sharing your opinions. It's important that we hear from you, and I'm glad you made time in your day to come and share your thoughts with us. Now I'd like to move to agenda item 3.2, the 2024 Park Plan Proposal Review and potential referendum bond parameters beyond your base. Skyler, I think you're going to present this evening.
Yeah, can I use the microphone?
You may.
Thank you for having me. My name is Skyler White, and I'm a senior associate with the public affairs consulting firm Beyond Your Base. I lead our digital engagement efforts, including emails, text messages, social media, digital advertising, and leveraging data and technology for campaigns. I worked in government consulting with Deloitte and Accenture and got my master's in data science at 28 and founded a polling firm focused on harnessing internet data to improve public opinion polling. Now I help in the day-to-day management of our public engagement work. And I'm going to review the results of our community mail survey tonight with you all. And I'm also joined by Patty King, Senior Architect of White & Company, and Kyle Harding, partner of Chapman Cutler and Bond Counsel, who's going to review the referendum process at the end. And then we'll all be available for questions and answers. The district has engaged in an extensive needs assessment and community outreach program so far, starting back in February. And tonight, we're here to review the results of the mail survey. So hopefully you all received a letter that was sent to 6,228 registered voters' homes. That's every registered voter's home in the district with information about the plan, including anticipated benefits and ways to learn more. We also sent out a big newsletter that was fold out, kind of 25 inch by 11, with details about all of the possible improvements and details about the proposal. Social media posts from the district's social media accounts. And we had an extensively informational landing page that you may have seen on the Park District's website with a list of frequently asked questions about many of the improvements, along with a tax calculator. The district staff has held several community informational meetings. And we conducted a snail mail survey, a mail survey to the same universe of every registered voter's home in the district, followed up with a text message to 7,000 registered voters, which is about 70% of the registered voters who we had cell phones identified for in the district. So I want to make a few notes about the methodology of the survey, mainly that this was not a scientific stratified sample of the likely anticipated 2024 November electorate. The reason that we weren't able to do a phone poll that's a stratified scientific sample is because with telephone response rates being what they are, very low nowadays compared to polling 10 or 15 and 20 years ago, there's not enough cell phones in this community to be able to sample in a really scientific, accurate way. And so we're reliant on a mail survey sent to every registered voter's home, and we're subject to the returns of who decides to fill it out and return it, but we'll dig into the demographics and potential biases that may appear in that. There were 13 questions on the survey, with one open-ended response question where people could fill out the reasons why they would support or why they would vote against the potential proposal. 888 surveys were returned prior to the preparation of these demographic crosstabs, and 249 additional surveys have come in since then. So that's a total of 1,137 returned surveys, which is a response rate of households at 18%. Response rate when you talk about the total number of registered voters in the district of almost 10%, or of the likely 2024 voters, that's almost 15%. So that's tremendous participation and way above what I've seen in previous surveys and and above what we're used to doing in our mail surveys. So it's a good reason to feel somewhat confident in the results that we're going to review tonight because of the great participation and passion from the districts of LaGrange, from the residents of LaGrange, excuse me. 40% of the surveys were filled out on paper with the mail ones that we sent out to every household. It also had a QR code on it, and 28% of respondents took a picture with their phone and filled it out online, and 32% responded to the text that we sent out to over 7,000 voters. 92% of respondents were identified from past voting history or self-identified as being a likely November 2024 voter. We asked how much have you read, seen, or heard about the proposal, and 71% said a lot or some. So being this early in an election cycle with still summer and fall to go, that's a great awareness that the district's outreach efforts have made in terms of delivering information to residents. The left column of this table shows the portion of registered voters in each age group. The middle column shows the likely 2024 anticipated percentages of how much each age group will make up the voting population in November. And on the right, we have the portion of survey respondents for each age group. And what we can see is that those 18 to 34 were underrepresented those 35 to 44 were overrepresented, and then those 45 to 75 were pretty accurate to what the expected turnout of the electorate will be in November. The reason why that last part is pretty important is that 44% of anticipated November 2024 voters will be over the age of 55. We had 39% of survey respondents who were over the age of 55, so we should be capturing the meat of the electorate from our respondents. It's a pretty good stratification that would pretty closely align with a scientific sample. And 7% of people did not respond with their age, which means that there's probably some who are 55 and older, and that's 7% as well. Support for the proposal is highest with young people, with 25 to 44 being the two most supportive age groups. Those 55 to 74 are least supportive, but not unsupportive. And then you can see that decreasing as we go to the 75 and older demographic, where you start to see some support from a grandparent bump. And obviously, the age that we're most supportive are those who are likely to have children, be the most active, and use the parks. Males were slightly underrepresented in the survey, with 36% of respondents compared with 46% of those likely to vote in November. 9% of survey respondents had more than one person complete the survey. Men were less supportive than women, with 77% saying that they would vote definitely yes or probably yes on the proposal, and 18% saying probably no or definitely no, compared with higher support level and lower opposition for women. There was lower support among those when more than one person completed the survey, and the reason being that couples and generally groupthink attitudes take a more conservative approach towards the spending of money. However, some of these may behave more individualistically and end up with higher levels of support on election day when they go to the ballot box. This is the second most important question that we ask, besides just what your support level is for the proposal, because there's a high correlation between the trust that people have in the district and their support levels for the proposal. A's and B's tend to correlate with yes votes. C, D's, and F's tend to correlate with no votes. We have 67% A's and B's, so this is really good. And a good indicator that people are willing to support because they have inherent trust in the park district. And we can see that borne out here. Slightly lower levels of support and higher levels of opposition when people graded the district with a D or an F, and higher levels of support when they grade the district A, B, or C. We also asked, what grade would you give the condition of the parks, playgrounds, pathways, athletic courts and fields, park shelters and related amenities? And we see A's and B's at 55% here. And this is actually a good thing, because people are not going to support the proposal if they think that everything is great already. And so we see the opposite trend line here, where D's and F's show the highest levels of support, with lowest levels of support those who say that everything is an A. Those with school-age children were more supportive than those without children. And the sample size here was pretty much proportional to what we see, to what we think the percentage of district residents with children is. So 80% support and 14% opposition for those with a child. Renters who are younger support at higher rates than those who own their home. 85% support from renters, 76% support from owners, and then the same levels of support between likely and unlikely voters. However, 92% of respondents were likely voters. And then the big reveal. If a local election were held today, would you vote yes in favor or no to oppose a $13.86 million bond referendum to be used by the Park District of LaGrange to fund improvements at 8 parks and 3 park buildings, including improving and expanding pathways, updating playgrounds and park shelters, adding and improving athletic courts, adding an outdoor synthetic turf field, and addressing other athletic field upgrades, adding trees, garden plots, and plantings, adding a new dog park, disc golf course, and band shell, making parking improvements, and addressing infrastructure upgrades to park buildings? 73% said definitely yes or probably yes. 19% said probably no or definitely no, and 7% were undecided. We asked people on a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being a low priority and 5 being a high priority, what priority should be placed on funding each of the following projects. And this list goes in order of the highest priority to the lowest priority. So 4s plus 5s we'll consider high priority. And so newer improved multi-sport basketball and tennis courts received 56% 4s plus 5s. And I'll get to the 1s and 2s in a minute. More shade and or ornamental trees, 52%, the second highest. Infrastructure improvements to park buildings, including accessibility upgrades, 49%. Dedicated pickleball courts, 37%. Improved and expanded pathways, 37%. A new band shell, 36%. Parking improvements, 35%. A new dog park, 34%. Natural grass soccer field, 33%. Updated playgrounds, 33%. Multi-sport synthetic turf field, 31%. And I'll pause here to reflect a little bit more about what we'll get into with the open-ended question. And when we ask people, what are the reasons why you would vote no? There was certainly a lot of echoing of what this group's feedback has been tonight, and just wanted to point out when I reach this part about the synthetic turf field, that there's more unfavorability in terms of 1s and 2s than there is 4s and 5s. That in the Citizens Task Force feedback, in the community public meeting sessions, just like we've heard tonight, it's a divided issue where user groups like soccer teams really like the increased year-round usability and support the synthetic turf field, but then on the other side there's lots of passion in health, environmental, and safety concerns about the turf. And so it's one that carries some risk to it in terms of including it in the bond proposal because of the passion that we've heard tonight. And we can see a slight imbalance towards unfavorability over favorability. Sand volleyball courts, 27%, and a 6-hole disc golf course, 23%. And so I want to summarize that. Just the left column is the same order that I just went through it in terms of high priority. The rightmost column takes the 4s and 5s minus the 1s and the 2s. So it's a net favorability minus unfavorability score. And when we look at the left column, the net score, well, first off, the top 3 remain consistent no matter which calculation we use. Multi-sport basketball and tennis courts, shaded ornamental trees, and park building infrastructure no matter which way we look at it, are both a high priority and not a low priority. Playgrounds moves up 5 spots. Pathways remains the same. Parking goes up 1 spot. The band shell goes down 1 spot. The grass soccer field goes up 2 spots. Pickleball courts go down 5 spots. The turf field remains relatively low, and the dog park goes down 3 spots, capped off by volleyball courts and the disc golf course. We asked, would you be more likely, we tested messaging and asked, would you be more likely or less likely to support the Park District's proposal knowing the following piece of information? The district timed the funding proposal to coincide with its expiring debt to keep the tax impact as low as possible was the thing that resonated most when we tested this, with 72% saying that it would make them more likely to support the proposal. The condition of our parks and facilities directly impacts property values. 71% said that they would be more likely to support the proposal. The Park District plans to complete all of the proposed improvements within 3 years, 64%. The estimated annual tax impact of the proposed $13.86 million referendum is $71 per year, or $6 a month for a home with an estimated value of $500,000, 60%. The last time voters approved funding for improvements was 19 years ago, 59%. All project spending and project updates would be posted on the district's website and disclosed at public meetings, 59%. And improvements to Wyola Park and Stone Park are also being made, but with non-referendum dollars, 52%. The only difference in the less likely to support number was the tax impact. That's where we test the tax sensitivity of the proposal to residents, and there's moderate sensitivity at best. Most people, when read what the actual tax impact is going to be, still said that it would make them more likely to support the proposal. And then this gets to just the open-ended question that I mentioned about reasons why you would vote yes or no. There were 3 times as many comments, a total of 599 comments, of why people would vote yes for the proposal, with over 60% of those falling into the top 5 categories, the topmost just being pride in LaGrange and the way in which people acknowledge that parks are such an integral part of binding community together. The upgrades are needed and overdue, attracting families and boosting property values, the benefits for families and children, and then keeping up with neighboring communities. And the reasons why people said that they would vote no, out of 218 comments, about 35% of those was tax concern, the concern about the tax impact would have on a household budget. We also noticed that about 1% of respondents commented on the need for a pool. About 1% of respondents commented on desiring things other than a pool. There are asterisks down here like bathrooms, a splash pad, ice rink, trash cans, etc., but more or less individual comments for different projects. And about 1% of respondents said that they would vote no out of concern for artificial turf and the aforementioned health, safety, and environmental concerns. So to summarize this data that I've just hammered you with, there's strong support for the referendum in its current form, with 73% in support, 18% against, and 6% undecided, with intensity of support being a lot higher than intensity of opposition, with 41% saying definitely yes, and 10% saying definitely no to the referendum on the mail survey. There appears to be limited tax sensitivity, with 60% of respondents indicating that they would be more likely to support when learning the tax impact, and 13% saying less likely. The messages that resonated the most with participants was that the district has waited to time the expiring debt to roll off to keep the tax impact as low as possible, that the condition of parks and park facilities impacts property values, and that projects will be completed within 3 years. Support level is similar between men and women. There's strong support across all age groups, with 25 to 34-year-old respondents being the most supportive. Voters with children are more supportive than those without. Renters more supportive than those who own their home. And people who grade the district highly are more supportive. People who grade the facilities lower, are more supportive. And so just summarizing the priority that people placed in terms of the second calculation that we talked about, looking at 4s and 5s of high priority minus 1s and 2s kind of places projects in terms of priority for this 1,137 people in 3 buckets. With the first bucket being newer improved courts, shade and ornamental trees, park building infrastructure. The second tier being playgrounds, pathways, parking, the band shell, grass soccer field in the proposal, and pickleball courts. And finally, more 1s and 2s than 4s and 5s for the turf field, the dog park, the sand volleyball court, and the disc golf course. And this is a fairly good survey. Do I think that 73% is likely the number that people are going to vote yes in favor of this? I'd say it's a little unlikely. I'd say that this survey result is slightly more positive than what you're going to see. Is it impossible? No. But in the past 5 years of doing over 20 mail surveys for Illinois public entities, be them park districts or school districts, in only 2 cases was the election result lower than the mail survey that we did. I think that we saw possibly some inflationary factors from those aged 35 to 44 and with fewer male respondents. So I think 73 might be pushing it a little bit. But there's overall strong support for this $13.86 million referendum in its current composition. Do you want to take questions on the mail survey or have Kyle go over the referendum process?
It'll be, questions from the board, so.
Yeah. Let's do questions. Anything surprise you?
So we did see some of these beforehand, so vague surprise. But I don't have any questions this time.
No, I think it's I think it's fairly aligned with the feedback that I've been getting from the community, so I wasn't surprised with the results.
Yeah, there's been an extensive community outreach effort, and everything seems to line up. There's no data points that are really contradicting each other from my understanding either.
Yeah, I would agree. What I'm hearing is pretty consistent with the feedback that we're hearing tonight, with the feedback that we're getting from the surveys, what I heard at the last meeting that we had with our user groups. So there's definitely a consistency there.
Okay.
I do have a question. So the original referendum question, I noticed that the follow-up questions were not exactly what the original question was in terms of the substance that was in the proposed referendum question. And so is there any way to, what were they saying yes to?
I think that we turned to this as the guide of what people were saying yes to, and ultimately they were saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
Right? So it's the whole package. And that's why we know, even when we see these cases where there's 1s and 2s that maybe outweigh the 4s and 5s, we shouldn't be all that concerned because the overall levels of support were still really high. And the only case where we might want to deviate from that mindset is where we heard a lot of passion involved in, say, like the turf field discussion, both in the comments in the mail survey with this huge sample and in these various, the extensive community outreach that the district staff has led so far.
Okay. And then I do have a question, but I'm not sure who can answer it. I don't think it's a bond counsel question. I don't know if it's an attorney question. But my question is about the senior exemption and the senior freeze for property taxes. It's my understanding that that wouldn't have any effect on, those would remain in place with the 70, if it is $71 per household. So if someone had a senior exemption, their tax bill wouldn't change from the prior year.
I think I have the answer written down. Let me double check, but I believe it still applies.
Okay. That's what I thought too.
Kyle, do you know?
Yeah, there wouldn't be any impact by bond issue on any exemptions anyone was entitled to.
Okay. So the concern about being on a fixed income, that doesn't really apply for a senior getting the exemption. They're already getting a property tax exemption.
The exemption wouldn't be affected by this, but if your taxes would otherwise go up, your tax rate's higher and the amount of revenue that needs to be generated from your taxes is higher.
Sure.
Since it's a higher rate, this doesn't have any impact on the exemption.
All right, Kyle, you're up.
Okay.
So just to clarify on that tax exemption part, if you have a senior exemption, it won't affect exemption, but your taxes still may go up based on a referendum asking for.
I'm a bond lawyer, but I can tell you that the amount of revenue you need to generate, because you'll be levying taxes for the debt service, will be higher, which means you'll have a higher rate. But that exemption, like any of the other exemptions, wouldn't be affected by anything the Park District did. So it's just like when this part of Cook County gets reassessed, everyone has a reassessment, and your assessment can change. You guys can't, at the Park District level, control what happens with somebody's assessment. Assessment exemptions are similar. So your rate, someone's taxes could go up because the school district raises their taxes.
Give the microphone.
Yeah, I'll use the microphone. I will be brief.
I just want to preface that this is just a draft sample. This isn't the actual ballot language. This is just a draft.
Right. I can get to that. Again, Kyle Harding with Chapman & Cutler. We've served as the Park District's bond counsel for many years. If the Park District decides to go to referendum, if you're successful, you issue the bonds. We'll be at the table with you drafting the documents and ultimately rendering an opinion that the bonds are valid and tax exempt. I don't have, this is my only slide, I don't have a formal presentation. I just wanted to talk through the sort of process of drafting the ballot question as well as the conduct of the actual referendum from the district's perspective. Park districts are not home rule governmental units, which means you only have the powers the General Assembly has given you. So if you want to know if you have any power to ask the voters for authority to issue bonds, you have to look for it in the Park District Code. And you find that in 6-4 of the Park District Code. It says you can go to your voters, you can, if they approve it, you can issue debt. So you have a debt limit for voter-approved bonds, together with all your other debt, which is a little bit above $22 million. Currently, the Park District has less than $1.6 million of bonds outstanding. So the contemplated ask here is well within that statutory debt limit. The Park Code also sets forth a form of a ballot question. So this is not a sort of choose your own adventure type approach. The General Assembly said, if you want to ask your voters a ballot question, essentially you have to use this form. As a technical matter, there's actually two, because we do have an omnibus statute called the Local Government Debt Reform Act, which provides supplemental authority. And of course, it has a slightly different format. But essentially, at the end of the day, the only discretion the Park District has, the board has, is to decide on a dollar amount and then how to describe your project. Now, I think one of the earlier questions was essentially how do we get to these drafts from maybe the ballot question that was included in the mailer. And that's because I sort of took over and worked with district administration on these drafts. We want to use plain English. Maybe people will disagree with me that whether we accomplish that or not, but we want to use plain English language. We want to use plain action type language. Things that are rooted very clearly in 6-2 and 6-4 of the Park Code, which tell you these are the things that a park district can do. So we want to use that plain language. In other words, this is not where you would want to be communicating to voters about all the great things that, what the pictures look like for other projects, right? There's other opportunities and to make that information available. Here we're going as succinctly as we can with respect to the project. And so that's where we came out with these drafts. Anything that's specifically mentioned in the ballot question, the referendum is successful, the park district issues the bonds, you will need to accomplish each of these things. So you can't say, we want to have a dog park and then it just wasn't in the cards, cost overrun, something like that. But if it's on the ballot question and you sell the bonds, you will need to accomplish all of these items. I know that part of this approach does contemplate using some fund balance for some of the projects. So the ask isn't for everything that's in the ballot. There's also some funds on hand that are being contributed to the project. In terms of what the park board will need to do, there's only one time corporate action that's required to have a referendum. The park board would need to adopt an election resolution. The deadline for that adoption is August 19th. That election resolution will essentially just set forth the ballot question that you agree on, and then it will direct the county clerk which newspaper you want to use for the publication of your election notice. Happily here, the Cook County clerk will provide the Spanish translation, which is required in Cook County as being a covered jurisdiction under the Voting Rights Act. But again, the county clerk will take care of that for you. We'll file that with the county clerk, and we'll look over their shoulder as they conduct the election. They do know how to do this, but we make sure that that the notice was published in the paper correctly, that the specimen ballot looks good. But essentially, that's all it is from your perspective. You need to adopt. We'll file it with the county clerk, and then you sit back and wait for November.
I do just want to state right now that this is all. There's no fund balances. It's the referendum.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess my comment on that was that I understood that there were some projects that you're going to be doing with fund balance, but the ones that are on the ballot question are what you're going to use the bond proceeds for.
Correct.
Appreciate that clarification. Any questions for me?
Okay, no questions from the commissioners? No, thank you for the presentation.
So I guess from the Park District perspective, for the board, the next steps are going to be, and we can talk about this, is to really kind of determine the plans and if we are going to move forward with the referendum. The Citizens Task Force was very positive with wanting to move forward with the referendum at the $13.86 million. They did leave the discretion of the turf, the synthetic turf, up to the board. Just a reminder that turf was not in the initial plans. That was something that kind of came out through our community engagement. It was added to the plans in March, I would say. So things have been fluid. The plans are fluid and have been changing. It was our intention to test the synthetic turf within the survey with the community. As we can see, there's been some passion and concern with some of the items within the synthetic turf. We have been looking at other options. There's an organic infill. There's an iron turf, which is a woven carpet that doesn't have any adhesives. There's also, different types of shock pads. If you use the organic infill, you do have to use a shock pad. When we start looking at all these costs, it does raise it significantly. So I'm not sure that a sustainable turf is in the cards for the district right now. So I think it's important that we look at what we're putting in our parks. But if we are going to modify the plans, then we would need to know that now because cost estimates take time, and we need to kind of put together new ideas. We did take out many items that were originally in the plan to get the turf in, so there are items we can. I know bathrooms at Sedgwick was a very high priority for a lot of residents. So I guess I'll stop there and just kind of see the board's feedback on either getting a consensus to move forward with the referendum and changing the plans, or what your thoughts are. And we did, the staff do feel that we should look at reducing the parking lot at Gilbert, reducing the parking lot at Sedgwick, and those we've been talking about for quite some time, because that has been, I think I've spoken with all of you about those changes. So there would be some cost savings there. I don't know how much, again, we'll have to look at that. But those are all things, we've heard the community, we've been listening, and this is why we're going through such an extensive process. So again, thank you for coming out. But I'll turn it over to the board.
So when I joined, sorry.
It's okay.
Let's see, can she turn the microphone on? There we go.
I'll turn mine off.
This is very dramatic.
You're so close to this. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Okay. When I joined the park board, I guess it's been 2 years now, maybe 3 since I joined, but I have always felt, I was struck during the pandemic about how parks are more than recreation. It was like one of the only safe places where we could all gather. It was a place to just be quiet. When I had children, it was a place it was a safe place that they could get a little freedom and run around, and I didn't have to chase too far after that. So I am really happy to hear, first of all, I'm really happy that the community is so passionately involved and really cares deeply about the parks. And we live in crazy times too, and I'm thrilled to hear consistently throughout this process how high a priority the future and the environment is. And so I didn't really know a lot about synthetic turf. It did make me feel uncomfortable. As a soccer mom, as I don't call myself, I'm not a qualified environmentalist, but I do think about the impact of synthetic anything. We live kind of in a synthetic world right now, and so I feel like, again, the back to basics feeling that I had during the pandemic, just walking through a park, I feel like is really, really needed right now. And so I am not in favor of synthetic anything. I don't know enough information right now. What I do know, the little that I do know, and I understand there's mountains on either side, but I feel uncomfortable about that. And so it's not right for me for that kind of environmental risk, in my opinion. As unscientific as that is.
So what features are we talking about in the plan? What to include and what not to include? I mean, there's the whole plan there, and I mean, obviously the turf fields, the parking lots. I think you were aware before of my attitude in the parking lots, but the turf fields was brought to us by the user groups, and they were pretty adamant on it. And
the task force.
Yeah. So of
the task force was
the user groups in the task force.
Yes.
To a degree.
To a degree.
Yeah. So if we were to forego the turf fields, could we somehow put it in the budget to get some kind of irrigation instead?
Do you have? Awesome. So yes, that was Kevin Miller, our superintendent, our director of recreation, said, if we can't do turf, why don't we look at irrigation and really making a great natural grass area. Before I talk too much, can we talk about costs?
Sure.
Okay. This is Patty White, everybody from White & Company.
Hi. So yes, we would estimate to irrigate the field at Gordon. It's not just the field size, it's a little bit over. It's roughly about 87,000 square feet. It's just under $300,000 to do that. Now, that has escalation for 2 years, so we've got some contingencies in there. In today's dollars, it's about $175,000. It just compounds. So when we go to build it, we want to make sure that we have enough money, and all the estimates are set up that way. So that's just standard operating procedure for us. It's $295 to do the irrigation.
So we talked about exploring irrigation, restoring the turf, whatever is needed there, possibly. And this is kind of prioritized based on surveys and feedback and what we've heard. So starting there, and then adding back the bathrooms at Sedgwick. Keep in mind the synthetic turf was about $1.5 million based on cost estimates. That doesn't include detention requirements, so it would be a little bit maybe more than that, but all this other stuff would require detention too. So it's kind of a even exchange there. We definitely heard feedback about Denning and the soccer field and needing a fence along Willow Springs Road, which we are in strong support of. So adding that back in. And then, there were other items that we'd have to go back and look at. The community center, there was the pergola structure. Denning, there was the story walk. Gilbert, the nature play or the backstop. Rotary, the shelters and the table. Sedgwick, we took out the Musco lighting at the senior field, but that's kind of a high price tag. I don't think we can get that back in. So those are all items that we'd like to, some more grading or fencing for the prep field at Sedgwick. So again, the top would be the irrigation, restore the natural turf at Gordon, the bathroom, the fence, and then we'd kind of have to see what was left in the budget and put other items back in.
So those go back in instead of
The
a synthetic
turf.
field?
Mhm.
Okay, that's a lot.
So what do you want from us here today as far as, yays or nays or?
Well, first we'd like consensus if you'd like to move forward with the referendum, if you're ready to answer that. Because we'd have to put these plans together for next month's board meeting so we can look at those, and then we'd have to do the resolution for August. So while it seems like there's a lot of time until August, it's not. Summer's going to be over before we know it. So we'd like a consensus to either move forward or not move forward with the referendum, and then consensus on either leaving in the synthetic turf, Plan A, or the Plan B as what I just spoke of, and we would start reworking the plans.
Maybe I'll chime in because I haven't said anything yet. First off, when we started this process months and months and months ago, we knew this would be a dynamic process and that we needed to put some plans in front of our fellow residents here and see what looks like a good idea and what looks like things we don't want to address, right? I know also it's hard for our residents because they really only get the opportunity to see us meet like this once a month. So there's a lot of pause. There's a lot of time between when we talk about something in an open session, and then I know all of my fellow commissioners do a lot of homework and research, and we've had ongoing conversations throughout the last 2 to 3 months about this. So it's not like we talk about it once and forget about it. So I've been pondering some of these difficult questions myself, and I think I understood why the turf was raised in a kind of a moment of discussion. I understand people want to play longer. I understand it can generate some potential revenue, which can offset some maintenance costs. I think there's a lot of things that it does. But on the other hand, I also think there's a lot of negative impacts that turf has. And quite frankly, I don't think the potential revenue generation or the potential environmental impacts are there for me to vote yes on that right now. So I would not support turf at this point in time. I think just a grass field is probably the way to go. I also would like to chime in as well on the parking lots. I don't know that we need as much concrete as I've seen in some of the plans. I know, again, that was from some initial conversations with community members about where they're struggling. And everybody's got pain points. Everybody does. So we took all of those things and put them in a plan. if the community says, hey, I can live without the turnaround in Gilbert Park because the drop-offs are not really, it's not too much of an inconvenience. I hear that, and that's okay. So I think, using the parking as the staff had suggested as well made sense. I also wanted to address, I heard a comment very early about, multiple village initiatives to do things with flooding. I know that's something that's a concern to all of us. My comment is a simple one, which is the flooding issue, as we all know, because we all have basements in the Grange, has been going on for years. And as much as I don't want to say this publicly, I don't think it's going to get solved in the next 2 or 3 years. So one concern I have is to hold up this entire thing based on some flooding planning doesn't feel realistic. However, I think we can be cognizant of the fact that we need to continue to work with the village where we can on joint projects, and I can assure you that those conversations have been happening behind the scenes, and where it makes sense to collaborate with the village, we are. I think Mrs. Bennett, you had raised some concerns, if I remember correctly. I don't know that the village is far enough along with their plans, and for us to have to wait a long period of time might also not make sense. So I feel like we need to be aware, we need to continue the conversations, but I think we should still move forward, and I would support developing some referendum language based on what we've seen.
Thank you. So is this the exact wording that we're going to go with, or is that going to change?
Yeah, this is just a sample, kind of to show the two different formats, and Kyle just kind of explained if it's in there, we that's something we have to focus on. But if you notice, the Park District ballot has the amount up top, whereas the debt reform has the amount at the bottom. So there's two different formats we can look at, and we'll kind of fine tune it as we continue the plans.
Yeah, and so I am also not, the turf field is not something that I think is also something I don't think is the best for the whole plan. But and I was reading this, it just says upgrading athletic fields, so it doesn't say specifically turf. To your point, it doesn't mean we have to put turf, but we can choose to just upgrade the fields. So, Thank you.
And Jenny, I wanted to ask for one clarification. It's something I learned over the last month, which I think is important for the residents to know. My understanding of the current rules with water in Illinois is that even if we resurface a natural turf field, if we move the dirt, we have to include some detention or retention. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'll defer that to Hattie. It's called disturbance, and it's been an education for all of us.
Wish I had one of my civil engineers here tonight. It is considered disturbance. So MWRD is who regulates that for you guys. And we obviously will work with them as we move through, but we've accounted for detention based on the square footage and area of disturbance for each of the plans. Some it's not very much, some it's really significant. So we feel like we've covered our bases on that, but yes, just because we have a baseball field and we're going to regrade it and still have a baseball field, if we disturb it, if we change the elevation, which we would because we would be grading it, it counts as disturbance and we have to have detention. There are some requirements, so you have to meet some certain thresholds, but essentially, yes, we will have to account for that.
Thank you for that. I raised that because I've heard a lot of feedback from some of our user groups who are using the soccer fields and the baseball fields, and things aren't flat, and they want a nice, high-quality service. And I was a little disappointed that I didn't know this, and it causes the need for detention and retention. So I just wanted to make sure our residents understood that we kind of have to do that, because I personally don't like the visual of a big hole in the ground. That's not a great look. And I was disappointed that you didn't leave natural turf, natural vegetation, the state mandates that we still do that. Thank you.
So I'm hearing yes to move forward with the referendum.
I would say yes.
I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, I'm in favor of it.
I'm in favor as well.
Okay, so we have consensus, and then I'm hearing remove the synthetic turf and add back in the features. One of the other things we might consider in replanning, again, we'll reduce the parking lots at Gilbert and Sedgwick, remove the synthetic turf field. This will be some of the cost savings. We might also evaluate removing Elm Park completely. Right now, Elm, the only project there is really the basketball court. So if we need to free up some dollars, we might remove that and then we can put it in our capital plan. So I just want the board to know that we might consider that based on cost and where we're at to get some of these bigger ticket items in when we can afford the basketball court. So we will start exploring with first the irrigation system and the natural turf restoration, the bathrooms, and the fence along Willow Spring Roads for Denning, and then we'll kind of talk and figure out what else needs to be added back in based on feedback and the survey. We good?
I just have one more question.
Sure.
So I don't know who to ask, but why was the dog park so unfavorable? And what kind of things would cause that to be unfavorable? And where the dog park is going to be, is that, I don't even know, is that LaGrange right on the other side of that fence, or is that a different town?
LaGrange Park's on the other side of the fence.
That's the other LaGrange Park. So they're the ones who would deal with any noise or any...
There's no one there, it's just a pond.
Oh, okay. All right, good. So yeah, why do you think the dog park was so unfavorable?
I'm trying to find it here. Did I pass it?
It was like the bottom of the list.
I think that it's hard for me to say. It doesn't really affect the vote count, more or less. We didn't really see a strong veracity of sentiment about it and the open-ended answers, so I can't really speculate as to why it had that unfavorability.
Thank you.
Actually, that was a surprise to me because in the meetings we had, there were
34%. Passion.
Passionate dog. She knows me too well. There was some very passionate dog park people that were involved, so that was surprising to me. That was one element.
It was also surprising to me because that was one of the amenities that was very high within our comprehensive master plan. So it was surprising to me too. And it could be because we have started allowing dogs in our park on leashes where it may not be as high of a priority. So that was the only thing I could really think of.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I want to thank Kyle, Skyler, and Patty. Does anybody have any more questions for them? Because they are leaving and they're not coming back.
So I have a question. So
We'll come back.
We're rethinking now about what the plans and where the money's going to allocate to. Will Patty give us another drawing, or how does this work from here?
Yes. I haven't spoken to her about it, but the idea would be we would kind of revamp the plans and bring them back next board meeting. I don't know if Patty will be here, but I will be able to present them to the board. And then we'll have to kind of make a decision because, again, in August, and Kyle and I will speak as well, and we'll kind of have some draft language because everything will have to be approved by that next board meeting.
So we have 2 more meetings before.
Mm-hmm.
Can we get a sneak preview before the July meeting?
When's your July meeting?
July 15th, the third Monday. It's pushed back a week.
And I got 2 weeks of vacation in there. Yes, my answer to you is yes, you can totally have a sneak peek.
Because last time when we saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's
look at all that.
Well, I don't think it's just adding things back in. We will absolutely, work on getting you a sneak peek, but I don't think it will be as dramatic. It's just going to be adding, it's more
We're
cost.
going to tweak the plans
based
on all the feedback we've received. We were at all the task force meetings. I mean, I have pages upon pages of notes. We need to go through and update our cost estimates as well, because we've been pushing and pulling stuff out for a couple months. So, we just need to kind of button everything up and adjust the things that need to be adjusted. So you're not going to see major differences, but clearly we agree with the comments that your community is sharing. Of course, we want to save trees. No one likes parking lots. Kind of a necessary evil. We get that. I'm really happy to hear that the synthetic turf is moved off the table. I have a hard time with that just personally, but I mean, I've designed a lot of them, so you know, I do it well. But there's a lot of environmental issues with it, so we'll bring all that back, and you'll have a clear path. You're welcome.
And I'm happy to come on vacation with you if we need to work on
We're
it.
going to the Grand Canyon.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I would just like to thank Kyle and Skyler and Patty for taking your time presenting all this. It's been a pleasure working with you on this.
Thank you. Likewise.
Thank you. You're welcome to stay.
Nope.
Or you can leave.
As long as you don't have any more questions.
I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right, are we ready to move forward on the agenda?
I think so.
All right, yeah, thank you for that. Let's move to agenda item 4.0, the consent agenda. I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the minutes of the special board meeting dated May 7th, 2024, approval of the minutes of the executive session meeting of May 7th, 2024, approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting May 13th, 2024, approval of the financial reports dated May 31st, 2024, and approval of the consolidated vouchers for June dated June 10th, 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Beer?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
President Opit?
Yes, let's move to agenda item 5.1. We'll start this evening with the director's report.
Oh boy. Okay. So I do just want to state a reminder about next month's meeting. It is the third Monday of the month, July 15th, and it will be at the community center. So please go to the community center, not here, at 6 p.m. If you haven't seen Stone Park, we have submitted the agreement with iPlay Illinois Burke, and the project will start the week of August 26th, wrapping up late September. That was the earliest we could get in with the playground schedule. If there is an earlier opening, they are going to let us know, but right now that is the projected timeline. We have started the construction development plans for Wyola Park, and the playgrounds will be sent out to via a community survey, similar to how Stone was. So we'll get some feedback on that playground and what the residents are looking for. So we're excited to work on that project and get that going. Again, the project won't, breaking ground won't happen until next year, March or April 2025. And then we've also started working on the Gilbert OSLAD, the application. So we're excited to apply for another grant, and hopefully we will be successful there. That is all I have, and I'll entertain questions.
I'm good.
Okay, no questions. All right, let's move to the Finance and Human Resources report.
Hi. Just wanted to keep it brief. Our auditors from Waterbeck and Avon were on site last Monday, June 3rd, to start preliminary field work. They were out again doing actual field work today, and we'll be back tomorrow. I am very optimistic that we will have everything wrapped up by the end of the week, barring any issues, but we're moving right along. And I just wanted to, again, welcome Adam as part of the newest member of the staff here, and hopefully tonight's lengthy meeting, he'll return, no kidding. So we're very happy to have Adam as our new HR and administrative assistant.
And I just want to say thank you to Jamie, because she has jumped in and has handled all the audit requests, and it's been fantastic. So thank you, Jamie.
Any further questions before we move to Kevin? Okay, let's go with the Director of Recreation, Kevin Miller.
We are fully staffed in the Recreation Department now. We have 2 new staff members. Liam Seiss is our athletic supervisor. He's a fresh graduate from Ohio University with a double master's degree in business administration and parks and recreation. No, Ohio University. It's a Bobcat, not the Ohio. And then Kelly Daigle is our new base and camp supervisor. She just started, Liam started about 20 days ago, Kelly about a week ago. She's had about 20 years of experience in the Park District field. So we're excited to have them both on staff. We are wrapping up the affiliate seasons with baseball coming up at the end of this month. Soccer is scheduled to be done this week. And then we'll start working with them on fall field allocations and schedules. Babe Ruth just started their baseball season, so they go through early August. Other than that, we start day camp today. We're successful the first day. We're excited. And the staff's gearing up for the Grange Country Jam. So Brandon Diaz, our recreation supervisor, and I had a meeting with Milk Money Brewing on Friday. They are providing the beer for the events. They are making a beer specifically for this called the Showstopper. It's a Mexican lager that they'll be selling. We will get proceeds from those sales at the restaurant. So for every beer sold, we get $1, and then it's capped at $1,000. So that will go towards either a scholarship fund or the event itself.
You want to remind us the date, time,
It
and place?
is Saturday, August 10th from 2 to 8 p.m. at Bowling Park.
Thank you.
We'll have 4 food trucks on site, and then we're still booking entertainment right now.
How's the schedule going for Babe Ruth? No problem?
They just started Saturday.
So it's all one.
It's been, I asked for an update today, didn't hear how things went this weekend, so I'm assuming no news is good news right now.
Any additional questions for Kevin? Thank you. Let's see, attorney report.
Eric.
Oh, sorry, Eric. I missed you. Let's talk about the fields for a second. They're so green, I forgot to ask.
We also just hired full-time staff employee we've been trying to get on with athletics. His name is Javier. We're excited to have him. Also fully staffed with seasonal, so definitely we'll see more detail in the parks, which will be great. The week of May 20th through the 29th, we turned on drinking fountains with more people in the parks and more athletics. It's nice to have. Kind of leaning towards that as well. Athletics is pretty much in full swing, as Kevin mentioned. So a lot more effort on keeping the playing surfaces prepared, a lot more mowing, with softball, baseball fields as well starting up. Public and anybody would like to go to the community center, we had a project with an LT student. His name's Henry Gale. With the Eagle Scouts, he completed a planting project on May 11th. Did an amazing job. Put a lot of perennials there. We were watering them, but he did a really good job. I did put some pictures before and after the report, but he did a really great job. And again, with more people in the parks, we're concentrating more on trash and keeping everything clean and safe. Also, we have fully staffed for grounds, so grass and other plants will be taken care of. And we did plant 8 trees this year. 6 of those had plaques, and you'll see those at Denning, Gilbert, Sedgwick, and Court. We want to keep that going.
And for those that don't know Eric, he joined us earlier this year, and I think he's doing a fantastic job with the fields and the parks. So thanks for all that effort you've been putting in. You've been a great addition to the team.
So those commemorative trees.
I can't say that's right.
So for those who are loving trees, there's still the opportunity to commemorate any of your loved ones with trees by donating the purchase price to the Park District and the other side,
Any further questions for Eric? All right. The next agenda item is our attorney report. Any updates this evening?
No attorney report this evening.
All right, treasurer report. Any updates?
No report at this time.
Let's move on to action items with 8.1, discussion annual approval of resolution R2402, a resolution to name the school board at Sedgwick Park Field B, the Susan Bonnevier Memorial School Board.
So this was already voted for by the board on April 15th, 2024. We do have a 60-day consideration period, which will be effective June 15th. I know that it is June 10th. Little League is anxious to get this started, so we will let them know if the board approves this resolution that after June 15th, they can go ahead and do that memorial, name it after Susan Bonnevier Memorial Scoreboard. So this is just a resolution implementing everything the board already approved. It will be for the life of the scoreboard.
I move to approve resolution R24-02, a resolution to name the scoreboard at Sedgwick Park Field B, Susan Bonnevier Memorial Scoreboard.
Second.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
President Opel.
Yes, and I want to thank the Little League for bringing this up because they're really the ones that make this happen. So a lot of kudos goes to that as well. 8.2, discussion and/or approval of resolution R2403, authorizing the release and continued retention, respectively, of certain executive session minutes and authorizing the destruction of related recordings.
So this is, per park code, we have to do this every 6 months. So we are at that point. So the minutes that are to be open, June 13th, July 11th, August 15th, and September 12th. I did speak with Dirk Price from Ansel Blink, and we agreed that these all could be open. They are based on when Commissioner Lawrence stepped down, and the other items within them are the D105 IGA. So those are all the, and the September 12th was when we talked about the reorganization of the district for personnel.
I move to approve the resolution R24-02, resolution, resolution R2-03, authorizing the release and continued retention of certain executive session minutes and authorizing the destruction of the daily report.
Second.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
President Opel.
Yes. 8.3, discussion and/or approval of section policy 234 and 242 updates.
So this is our personal days and sick leave policy. We're looking at making the changes mainly to our permanent part-time staff, which are our IMRF status employees. As you know, there is a Cook County ordinance right now for personal leave for all employees throughout our organization. That will not go into effect until January 25th. However, we're starting to look at it now, especially for our permanent part-time employees. We want to be competitive, as although park districts may be exempt from it, all other organizations within LaGrange or surrounding areas have to abide by it. Park districts are exempt from the state Paid Leave Act, but not from the Cook County. So in an effort to try to be competitive and streamline what we already have with personal days and sick days, we want to try to implement this now effective August 1st. For section 234, the personal days would be changed to personal leave per the ordinance, and it would also be changed so for full-time staff. So that would be the only change within the full-time language within the policy. And then for the permanent part-time staff, one employees, IMRF status, they would earn 1 hour of personal leave for every 40 hours worked, effective August 1st. They would be eligible to use their personal leave after 90 days. Employees presently accruing sick time would not have to be subject to that 90-day waiting period. And they could accrue a maximum of 40 hours annually with the option to carry over 40 hours. And requests must be submitted a minimum of 7 days in advance. And personal leave must be taken in a minimum of 2-hour increments. Unused personal leave is not paid out upon separation, and all current personal days from January 1st through January 31st accrued shall be converted to personal leave. So that is for that policy. And then for sick leave, we would eliminate that and transfer it over, any current time transferred over to personal leave. I want to stress that this new policy does give them more time off. I think the maximum that they could get before was 25 hours. So now we're increasing their allowance of time off.
Question.
Yeah.
Section 234.2, second line, is parameters the correct word, or is it parameters?
I'm sorry.
On this page, 234.2, the second line, following sentence, the following parameters.
It's like a typo.
Parameters, yeah, but just correct that.
Okay.
I think it's parameters or something.
Oh, yes. The following parameters, yes.
Is that just another copy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it's just the memo, so
Okay.
I can fix that, yeah.
I didn't know for the actual copy.
No, yeah.
Do the 40 hours. So if you can carry over 40 hours, and then the next year, like how long?
Non-congruent.
You have to use it the next year. Okay.
Yeah, you can only carry over 40 hours.
Thank you.
Yep.
I move to approve section policy 234 and 242 updates.
Second.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
President Opit?
Yes. We will move to 9.04 business. Let's see a typo on our agenda today. 9.1.
Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Wow.
So I think we're talking about the election appointment of officers this evening. We have several positions to nominate board president, board vice president, second vice president, board secretary, and treasurer. Discussion.
Does everybody want to move?
Technically, we need nominations.
Yes.
If I remember correctly.
But we can discuss.
We can discuss, yes.
Do you want to move anywhere?
Do I want to move anywhere? Not particularly.
Okay. Then I would like to appoint Brian as president.
I would second that appointment, subject to Brian's approval.
I'm honest, thank you. I would accept that nomination.
And then I'll move to appoint Bob Veer, board vice president.
I'll accept. Yes, I do.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, so who did the president? I can go back and listen according to.
Bob moved to appoint
And you seconded.
Brian,
Okay.
and I seconded.
Okay, perfect.
And then I moved to appoint Bob.
Got it.
Chris
And
seconded.
Brian, yeah.
Now we have the second vice president. Who is currently the second vice president?
Commissioner Lacey.
I think in his absence, we should, and I think it should be okay if we appoint someone else
Okay.
at this point.
What are the duties of the second vice president?
So historically, we put in a second VP in the rare occasions that both the president and the vice president were not present, and the remaining three commissioners could still have somebody to lead the meeting. I don't think we've ever had the second vice president chair a meeting, but that was why we did that several years ago.
Okay.
So largely ceremonial.
I'm totally qualified for the ceremonial. Second vice president.
I'd like to appoint Stephanie as second vice president.
I would accept that.
I'll second that.
So do we need to go back through and now, do they
I think we
need
have
to
to
vote?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Can we do an omnibus vote if it's a single
Yes.
nomination? I think, if I remember correctly.
We can.
Do we also have to do board secretary and treasurer?
Yes, so let's finish with that. Board secretary, I think we had an idea. Was there a discussion on who was going to do that?
It's me.
You're going to continue?
I'd like to appoint you.
Continue, that's what I'm asking.
Yes, I'd love to.
Second,
Did somebody first?
Bob did.
Okay. Okay.
What kind of secretary are you?
Hot mess one tonight, apparently. And
What are
then
we doing with treasurer? This,
Jamie.
Jamie's going to take that?
Yep, she's stuck with it.
Jamie's-
I think appoint James.
Need a nomination for Jamie?
I'd like
So-
to nominate.
Oh, go ahead.
I'll
Bill,
nominate
you.
Jamie. What's her last name?
Halleck.
Halleck for board treasurer.
I'll second.
I'm going ladies first, Posey. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so I think if I got this right, I would ask for a motion to appoint myself, Brian Ovid, as board president, Mr. Robert Beer as board vice president, Ms. Stephanie Posey as second vice president, Ms. Jenny Bechtold as board secretary, and Ms. Jamie Hollick as treasurer. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve.
Just say so moved.
Say so moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Perfect.
I'll second.
Okay. Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
President Opit?
Yes.
Perfect.
All right, let's move to 9.2, which would be discussion and appointment of commissioners to committees. We have the Administration Committee, the Parks and Facilities Committee, and the Recreation and Cultural Committee to address this evening.
Where do we stand right now? Brian Beard.
Yes, so Commissioner Veer and Commissioner Lacey are the administrative committee. Commissioner Posey and Commissioner Shavado was the recreation. And then Commissioner Opid and Commissioner Veer were parks.
I'd like to stay on Rec and Cultural Committee.
I would support that.
I'm happy to do two. I can do Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec, okay.
Yeah, I could do two
Your background in
if you need me to.
baseball stuff, you'd be good at the rec too.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
So take out Shavado.
I mean, if you want, I can do two, or I can just do one, whatever you guys need.
I'm happy to stay on all committees. You're used to one parks.
I said, oh, wait.
He's on two.
You were on Parks and Administration. I'd love for you to stay on Administration.
Thank you.
There's finance.
I can do that.
We have not addressed Lynn yet. I think should we keep her on that committee for now?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we will have, I think we're okay.
So what's the end result?
So we have Commissioner Posey and Commissioner Weber on the recreation, Commissioner Weber on parks, and then Commissioner Veer and Commissioner Lacey on admin. So Brian, did you want to join one?
Yeah, I can join Chris on Parks and Facilities.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Again, I think we can do this omnibus. So I will ask for a motion to approve Commissioner Veer and Commissioner Lacey on the Administration Committee, Commissioner Weber and Commissioner Opid on the Parks and Facilities Committee, and Commissioner Posey and Commissioner Weber on the Recreation and Cultural Programming Committee.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Posey?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Veer?
Yes.
President Opit?
Yes, thank you. Committee reports. Are there any committee reports from the newly formed committees?
I actually do.
Please.
I was at a Grange Art League event on Friday night and was approached by Jan Regan, and she said that they would be interested in reviving the yarn bombing project, art project in the parks. And so I think that's interesting. So
Okay.
there's willingness.
Yeah. We should start now because
Yeah.
January will be here or whenever they were
Yeah.
talking. Okay, great.
So perhaps we should, do I schedule a meeting with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have no other committee
Yarn
reports.
I don't know what yarn
I
bombing
will
is.
move forward to our second opportunity for public comments this evening. Same rules apply. Please state your name and address if you'd like to comment, and please limit your comments to 2 minutes.
Thanks, Kevin.
Rose Nassif, 911 South Stone. Thank you.
Rose Nassif, 911 Southstone. Thank you for listening to all the comments and conducting the surveys and the research. I'm grateful.
And now that there's opportunity possibly to add things, I have a few suggestions for other things to consider if there's additional money for the referendum. I do support improvements like a lot of other people. What we heard at Wyola Park was that we wanted maintenance, we wanted resurfacing of the courts and things like that. So obviously, I support that as well. Some things that may be to consider going forward: electrification of lawn and yard equipment. So I have seen this in operation before. Some solar, there's vans, and you can charge the batteries for blowers and not mowers yet. We've seen a lot of electric mowers in Grange, lawn mowers. I don't know that it's there yet for industrial size mowers, but blowers and edgers and things like that. So that might be something to consider in a referendum. If this is a long-term plan, electrification is something to consider. And then they have solar panels on the top of the vans. I've seen it in Oak Park. And one of the things that the staff said there is that sometimes the staff parks it under trees, so it doesn't actually charge so well. But we can figure that out. The natural field management. So Midwest Grows Green is a company that manages turf naturally. So I know there's a pilot project in Western Springs. Some residents came together and are going to actually fund maintenance of a field that's managed without even chemicals. So it involves aeration, compost top dressing. That's something we can consider now, that if we're going to not have synthetic turf, we have opportunities to try things as they become available and try, more natural options. Even irrigation. Maybe there's an opportunity to store storm water and use gray water to irrigate it at some point in the future. But now we have that opportunity, so that's just something to look into. Native plants for drainage. I've been at some parks out in DuPage County, and there's courts, and then there's kind of this bowl in the middle, like a rain garden, right? And there's a whole bunch of native plants among the different activity courts and things like that. So integrating that, I think, not just having a separate pollinator garden, but bringing native plants. Let's say if we're going to elevate a field and we need drainage, we can maybe, rather than having an unattractive or detention pond, can we manage it in smaller installations by something attractive and safe? That's something we can do. And then the playground surfaces going forward. I don't know what the surfaces are going to be. Are you aiming to make them all ADA accessible? That means taking, mulch, replacing mulch maybe with some other kind of surface, a pour-in-place surface, which is rubber, and then again, it doesn't amend the soil. Mulch at least amends the soil and increases absorption, but it's not ADA accessible. There's engineered wood fiber. I'm not sure, that's something to look at, the cost and how you incorporate that into the referendum might be something to think about. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rose.
Linda Christensen, 131 South Edgewood. Just since you're now just preparing the proposal with respect to Gilbert Park, I just thought I'd add a couple of more thoughts. That I walk over there quite often, and I never see I think there are nine of those spaces filled. I have never seen all those spaces filled, the current existing spaces. And there are no parking restrictions on 41st Street, which is immediately adjacent, except there's one between 7 and 9 a.m., which would not affect our soccer players. And it's a long street, and actually there's quite a bit of available parking right there on 41st Street. And we live in the 100 block of South Edgewood, and we're right across the street from the LT soccer field. There are 3 soccer fields over there. And when there are soccer games, there are a lot of people parked on our street. It's part of what we do. It's just okay that it doesn't prohibit traffic from coming through there. The street is wide enough for traffic to flow both ways, even on soccer game days. But it's something that we're all okay with. And I think 41st Street would be a fine place for people to use as a parking area rather than expanding the parking in Gilbert. Not just with respect to a couple other things. When I walk there, I often see people using that basketball court. I saw that on the list of things that might be removed. I think that gets a lot of use. I would say keep it. And I also don't see anything wrong with the current playground equipment. When I've walked there, I think it looks like it's in pretty good shape, and there's fresh mulch underneath. So I would say keep them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Griffin, 232 8th Avenue. So thank you for listening. And the only other points I would say is give us a little, we want more. There was a bond referendum for the schools. Our family was very involved in that. It was one of the few referendums that passed. These are closer than you think. People are paying attention. And with regards to taxes, I believe in you pay for what you get. So it is important to reinvest. And so I'm actually fine with the bond. I don't actually remember all that. He claims that it came to everybody. I didn't get a text message, but I kind of remember. But with details, voters are going to pay closer attention. So the synthetics, I think you guys have heard. Parking, more parking, that's something which, if people get attention on that, you're going to have fewer votes. People tend to be now more one issue. That's not a great way to go, but that's just kind of the world. And again, optics, we're a tree village. We should be thinking about the future on a number of levels. He said that, the voters are the ones who are going to be using the park. Actually, think about older folks. It's not just ball games, I love them, but the parks should be more. If the mindset is, well, that's just kind of how parks are, that's prior thinking. And then what some voters may be thinking about, Robert Moses was a gentleman who set up municipal authorities that issue bonds that go on for infinity. A bond's expiring, a new one replaces itself. These are with regards to toll authorities. They think in terms of roads. Why not build more roads? That justifies our existence. You guys are not the toll authority. But again, you're a park district, and so if you're thinking baseball fields, and then, soccer folks are driving in cars, they need cars, that's old thinking. And so I would say with regards to this, your referendum will be closer than you think. If you were saying, we're going to take down some trees, maybe the parking is smaller. I mean, I've heard you guys say, well, we'll bring it back though. You don't need parking at all, at all. So that would be my 2 points.
We're going to do senior here, huh? Gloria Stevenson, 1510 41st Street. Last two people, yes, kudos. That parking lot at Gilbert Park is empty. Let's spend the money somewhere else. Let's fix the shuffleboard courts. Let's keep the 4 tennis courts the way they are. The people use those tennis courts. Sometimes the old, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. There are so many other places we can put our tax dollars and the use of your time than building a parking lot that doesn't need to be there. And I agree with her that the basketball court is used all the time. I know one of you had said at some point it needs to be upgraded. Well, let's upgrade it. Let's don't take it down and move it on to the 4th court of the tennis court. This park is unique. I mean, it's one of the reasons that we moved there. Yes, it's walk to train, it's walk to schools, it's walk to everything. But it was one of the cutest parks of all the villages that we looked at. There are all age groups walking on that path. And somebody else had said during the pandemic, we would, I can't tell you how many people I met there walking the parks. We weren't parked in the parking lot. We came from wherever our homes were and walked. It is a beautiful park. Let's and I appreciate what he's saying also. I love the little soccer fields. I have 2 grandkids. Both of my kids use this park, even the one in the wheelchair. And it seems almost sinful to take down those giant trees to make 5 more spaces, let alone 20 spaces or whatever it is. So I hope when you go back to the drawing board, you keep a lot of these things that we're saying close to your heart. Thank you, and thank you for all the work that you've done.
Hi, Akriti Leva, 38 North Edgewood. I like to go after people because I can just echo what they say. I also live near Gilbert Park. My kids call it Tiger Park. We really like the rocking thing that we're tigers. So we adore this park as well for very similar reasons. We go all the time, and I also don't think it's very outdated in terms of parking. Like I said, my kids went there. And it would probably be, I can think of 2 or 3 instances where there was soccer going on, we were doing pickup or drop off or something, and it took 5 extra minutes. And guess what? I could have parked on the street, and I was just being lazy. So I don't think that's a problem. One other thing that I love about LaGrange is there's probably 3 parks we can walk to, and we almost walk to them as much as we can. There's very, few times where we're actually driving. And so, I also agree that we just don't need the parking, and I frequently use that park for many different things. I also echo what Rose said about native plans and trying to figure out even little pockets. I think those things add up, and so trying to be creative in terms of, something that is not that much money, not that much space, but those things will add up over time, and kind of trying to be creative where those things are used. I took notes because I forgot a couple things last time. For the dog park, my only thoughts on why it might be low priority. I know a lot of dog owners don't use dog parks because they're dangerous, and so we just walk our dogs. So maybe that's why, if you're comparing all these other things, it just is lower priority. Is my only guess. I also really wanted the bathrooms would be great. Even we were at a park somewhere else, and there was just porta potty. 3 sides were wooden. It cannot be that expensive, and so, but adding those makes a huge difference when you are playing and your kid wants to go to the bathroom, and you girls, not boys, those little things make a big difference. And someone else maybe mentioned like a nature playscape type. I don't think any of our parks sort of have like nature-based. That could be fun. So if you're looking for ideas, not that you don't have enough already. So thank you very much, and thank you for taking all the comments in consideration. It's a lot of options. So I applaud you all for taking the time to weigh everyone's interests and come up with the best solution. So we trust you. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Great. Seeing no further comments, thank you again for coming this evening. Oh, I see maybe one more.
One more comment.
Oh,
Carol.
Good to see you, Carol.
Hello. Sorry I missed the first public comment session there, but I think, well, first, thank you all, commissioners, for volunteering your time, because I know what that was like, and so we know you're trying to do the very best for all of us, and thank you all for coming out. And I think some of the things I hear are because the plan that was put forth had really great ideas and then some not great ideas, and I felt like it was kind of a vision of Wright and Company, Patty, and then I was on the task force, so I attended all 3 meetings, and I know Bob, you were at 2 of the meetings, Brian and Bob was there, and Stephanie, and so I guess I would encourage you to think about bringing another viewpoint in once the referendum passes for some of the parks maybe, or maybe just not the whole kit and caboodle of our park district being given to Wright and Company. Because I think there's been some missteps where, like what happened with Wyola, and just a thought, it's your decision, I understand that, but some of the ideas were from left field, it seemed like, and people in the task force were sort of taken aback, like, what, and you want us to decide in one day? So it was a good approach, but that it doesn't surprise me that some of the ideas, like the artificial turf, that's how it came. Not from Patty, it was like someone on the task force, and I was really glad to see they kind of listened, but then we didn't really talk about it enough. And so I just want to give a little transparency on the process there. I think it is going to pass because everybody wants really good parks. And so that's what's going to happen. And I would ask, hopefully Director Kruger, right? And that whole team is involved with the parks and this whole process. And if they're not, to really make sure they are. Anything else that I'm thinking about? I can't think of it, but really after the referendum passes, maybe keep the language general enough that you can do some things that the residents ask for instead of putting back in, the fence or whatever. That seemed like a good idea, and definitely the Sedgwick bathroom and so forth. But there's other really good ideas that if you talked more to the neighborhoods for those neighborhood parks, you would know it's not, this is what they would like. Anyway, thanks.
Thanks, Carol. Did you say your name and address?
Oh, sorry. Carol Jacobs. Who's taking notes here?
Just the recorder.
Carol Jacobs, 415 East Maple Avenue.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? No? Okay.
All right, thank you. We'll move to board comments this evening.
I'll kick it off. Welcome, Chris. Hope you enjoyed the first meeting. And then also welcome to Adam.
And it's exciting that the team is coming together. I know we've had kind of a rough go for a while, but it seems like it's coming together. So that's great. Perfect timing too, with a referendum upcoming. I also want to thank the public who's been consistently participating on the task force committee, attending these meetings. It's really important in this process, and you can see that there's a give and take, and that we really can't make decisions without your input and your advice, because we don't live next to the parks that some of you live at. And so sitting here, I really appreciate, and I'm listening to what you have to say, and also appreciate all the work that everyone here and everyone behind the scenes puts in, especially to our executive director, who has put lots of heart into it. So thank you for that.
I'd also like to thank everybody. This is my first meeting on the board, and it's great to see other residents who want to participate. You guys do your homework and research and present something or share with us information that maybe might not be in our wheelhouse all the time. Gives us something to look at. Adam, welcome. And Jenny, thank you so much for all you've done to help bring me on board.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I want to thank all the public for Chris's first day coming out for him. It was important to him, it's important to us. And keep on coming, keep on showing your passion for the parks throughout the process, and get us over the vote and help us there too, if you want to.
Get out and vote, yeah.
Just thanks for coming. I think enough has already been said. Welcome, Chris. It's great to have you here. And again, thanks for sharing your ideas. They are important. They do influence our decisions, and it's important to hear from you. All right, at this point, I do not believe we are going into executive session, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. You're all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.